Introduction to electric vehicles. Produced by the EV Group, Salt Spring Island, operating under the umbrella of Transition Salt Spring. Just a little over 100 years ago, three technologies converged to create a disruptive revolution in transportation: the automobile. Those technologies were the internal combustion engine, the oil industry, and the assembly line invented by Henry Ford. Technological disruptions produce products that are quickly adopted because they're so vastly superior to the products they are replacing. Several reasons led to the abandonment of the horse in favor of the automobile: range, speed, and efficiency. Gasoline has a very high energy density. In fact, a liter of the stuff contains the equivalent of 13 kilowatts of energy. A horse, on the other hand, needs to consume 25 pounds of hay a day, whether it is working or not. Pollution. In New York, it was estimated that 62,000 horses produced 500 tons of manure every day. This had to be cleaned up and disposed of. In addition, thousands of acres of arable land had to be dedicated to growing crops to feed these animals, as opposed to feeding humans. This is a street scene, New York, around 1900. Everyone's driving a horse and carriage, except one early adopter, one visionary who sees the future and realizes the horse and buggy are approaching the end of an era. Another street scene 13 years later. In this street scene, there is one lonely horse and carriage. It's right here. This is a late adopter, a laggard. All of these people have seen the benefit of owning an automobile and have made the transition. The adoption of the automobile was a rapid and complete, testament to its many advantages over the displaced technology. This is always the pattern with disruptive technologies. Think of smartphones, digital cameras and watches, flat screen TVs. The list is endless in our technological world. We're now in another transportation revolution, no less profound than exchanging a horse-drawn carriage for an internal combustion engine car. The convergence of three technologies make possible the electric vehicle. Efficient, powerful battery storage capacity, small, powerful electric motors using rare earth magnets, and the electronics required to combine these technologies to make them work seamlessly and efficiently. When you buy an electric vehicle, you're not exchanging one car for another. You're moving into a whole new technologies. Electric vehicles are more efficient, they last longer, they're cheaper to maintain, and they're way better for the planet. So we're going electric on Salt Spring Island. We're helping the planet one car at a time. Salt Spring Island is the unofficial leader in EV adoption in Canada. And we currently have about 280 EVs on Salt Spring Island. So what we'll cover today is we'll look at what are electric vehicles, why you might want to buy one, what does the future look like, driving an EV, charging your EV, and incentive programs to help you make the purchase. First, a few definitions. BEV, or battery electric vehicle, runs entirely on electricity from its battery that powers an electric motor and must be plugged into an external source to recharge. PHEV, plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. A plug-in hybrid uses an electric motor and a battery that can be plugged into the power grid to charge, but also has the support of an internal combustion engine. There are two types of hybrid vehicles. A parallel hybrid, both components, that is the battery through the electric motor, or the internal combustion engine powered by fuel, both can power a gearbox, clutch, gear train assembly to drive the wheels. In a series hybrid, the internal combustion engine does not drive the car directly. What it does is it is connected to a generator that can charge the battery or operate the electric motor. This is a very efficient system. ICE car. This is a car operating with an internal combustion engine. E-bikes, amazing, an enabling technology. This young lady, out ahead of the crowd, these jocks trying to keep up with her, she's not even breaking a sweat. EVs come in various sizes and appearances, but primarily you have a dedicated or a purpose-built e-bike, or you can convert your existing bike to an e-bike. This is a graphic of electric vehicles available in BC currently. We see there are lots to choose from. And this graphic displays the plug-in hybrids available. We'll just look at a few vehicles. And this in no way is a recommendation. You need to do your own due diligence if you're making a purchase. Chevy Bolt, very popular, sells for about $45,000 and has a range of about 380 kilometers. The Nissan Leaf, again, a very popular vehicle, 2 battery sizes to choose from, 363 kilometer range or 240. Prices range from $42,000 to $45,000. This is the Hyundai Kona, about $45,000. Very nice car, just slightly over 400 kilometers of range. And of course, you have the Tesla Model 3 coming in at $52,900 at the range of about 300 kilometers. Now, on the plug-in hybrid side, you have the Outlander, about a $44,000 car, battery range 44 kilometers. This is the Toyota Prius Prime. This is another hybrid vehicle, has about the same battery range as the Mitsubishi, comes in at a little cheaper price. So why might you want to buy an electric vehicle? Well, surveys suggest there are 3 main reasons people choose an electric vehicle over an ICE car. You may favor one reason over another, but likely all 3 apply somewhat. The environment. You're concerned about the environment. Climate change is certainly one of the main reasons. Horses produce manure, ICE cars produce emissions. Okay, I know you rarely see this on Salt Spring Island, but in major urban areas, this is a big problem. You often hear about CO2 and climate change, but there is also a direct impact on health. In fact, more people die from automobile pollution than accidents. An MIT study suggests that 53,000 extra deaths a year due to automobile pollution. So what comes out of the tailpipe of an ICE car? Carbon dioxide, we know about that. These are the ones that are dangerous to your health primarily. Nitrogen oxides, hydrocarbons, sulfur dioxide, particulate matter, and ozone. Now, numbers matter, and we keep track of numbers here on Salt Spring. We have a database we keep. Members of the EV group are very good at providing information to us. So every liter of gas that's burnt produces 2.3 kilograms of carbon dioxide. Now, a liter of gas only weighs 0.8 kilograms, just a little over 3/4 of a kilogram. And it contains carbon and hydrogen atoms, and during combustion, the carbon from the fuel combines with 2 atoms of oxygen from the air to produce CO2. This additional weight comes from the oxygen. So if we have 280 EVs on Salt Spring, averaging 10,000 kilometers, that's zero emission kilometers per year. That's a total of 2,800,000 zero emission kilometers. Now, if those were ICE cars burning an average of 10 liters for every 100 kilometers, it would have required 280,000 liters of gasoline at 2.3 kilograms of carbon dioxide per liter. That's an equivalent of 644,000 kilograms of carbon dioxide that was not emitted here on Salt Spring Island because we have electric vehicles. This is a picture of a truck that delivers fuel here. It contains about 33,000 liters of fuel. And so the fuel saved is equivalent to about 8.5 loads. And of course, we have lots of trees on Salt Spring, and they are a great carbon sink. They can sequester up to 50 kilograms of carbon per year. So you're frugal, you might be Scottish, you love to save money, you hate the price of gas. Hey, EV is for you. Average annual fuel costs. BC on the far left of this graph. This is the cost of charging an EV, and this is the cost of fueling your ICE car. So you have a savings of about $2,000 a year on fuel. This is average annual maintenance costs. And again, the EV is less expensive to maintain than the ICE car. This is a 10-year saving of driving a battery electric vehicle calculated for a household. And in fact, in BC, over 10 years, you should save about $27,000. So why is it cheaper to maintain an electric vehicle than an ICE car? One of the main reasons is the number of moving parts. Your ICE car has about 2,000 moving parts. Your EV has about 20 moving parts. Efficiency. ICE cars, the energy in the fuel, about 17% of that finds its way to the drivetrain, to the wheel. In an EV, that efficiency is close to 60 to 70%. So we're talking 4 times as efficient. Power output. In an ICE car, it has to be turning at a fairly high revolution per minute to generate the advertised horsepower. In an EV, it generates the same horsepower at any RPM. And this explains the phenomenal acceleration and performance you see in an electric vehicle. Brakes. In an EV, when you take your foot off the accelerator pedal, the motor turns into a generator and starts charging the battery, and that energy slows the car down. So you rarely use the brakes on an EV. Center of gravity and handling. You can see here that most of the weight on an EV is very low on the vehicle. This produces for a very stable vehicle with a low center of gravity and a very good weight distribution front to back. Additionally, the battery housing protects you in the event of side impact. You can also save more money with a solar array that will charge your car. BC Hydro will give you credit for the power you produce in excess of your requirements. And you can use the BC Hydro grid as a giant battery. With some accessories, you can use your EV to power electrical components in your home if you have a power failure. And another really nice feature is you can drive in the HOV lane all by yourself in your EV. Now, some people are in love with the technology. If you're the kind of guy that upgrades your smartphone every year, and you know what a Razer Black Widow Ultimate Stealth keyboard is. If you had an electric car, you could hack it, customize its features. But let's be clear, you don't need to be a geek to drive one. It's actually simpler to drive than an ICE car. Most of these vehicles come with an application for a smartphone or computer that lets you do certain things. For example, this is a page that comes from the application for my car. It tells me the location of the car. It tells me that it is locked. And it allows me to climatize the car, that is, precondition the car. So if I'm going to leave the home at 7 o'clock the next morning and it's going to be cold, I can preset this so that when I get into my car in the morning, it's toasty warm. Very nice feature. This is the status page. It tells me what's happening. All the doors are locked, all the windows are closed, the trunk is closed, and the hood is closed. It also contains a navigation feature. I can put in a destination and it will give me a route. And if I need to charge the vehicle, if I have insufficient kilowatts remaining, it will tell me where to charge it and how long it's going to take. Oh, and I can send this information to my car so the navigation system is ready to go when I get on board. So what's the future look like? Yogi Berra said it's tough to make predictions, especially about the future. This is the adoption rate for electric vehicles, and we see that it is increasing quite rapidly. This is a line drawing of the same curve, and we see that it's following the typical S adoption curve for any that's the same for any technology. This is your classic S curve of consumer adoption. We are right in here. Norway is up here. There you've got 35% penetration for electric vehicles. So some of our early adopters were in this range. And we'll have some folks that are diehards and refuse to accept this new technology until well beyond when most people have. So what's driving the cost of EVs and when will they be competitive with ICE cars? Well, it's the cost of the lithium-ion battery. How much does it cost for 1 kilowatt of storage? Back in 2014, it was almost $500 a kilowatt. This year, we're down to $156 per kilowatt hour. And we estimate that by 2023, the price per kilowatt will be $100. So analysts believe that we will reach cost parity once lithium-ion batteries can produce for $100 per kilowatt hour. So what does that mean? That means that by 2023, EVs will be cost competitive with ICE cars. So why on earth would anyone buy an ICE car if you can buy an EV for the same amount of money? Is it just a fad? I don't think so. Amazon, a forward-looking company, has ordered 100,000 of these electric delivery trucks. Ford F-150, the most popular vehicle in North America, goes electric in 2022. And Harbor Air, the largest seaplane operator in the world, is going to electrify the Beaver. Now, the engine in the Beaver is a Pratt & Whitney 9-cylinder radial engine. that was built between 1930 and 1950. Aircraft engines have to be overhauled on a regular basis. And by overhaul, I mean they have to be stripped down and rebuilt, essentially. Parts are very hard to come by. So they've been looking for an alternate power source for the Beaver, and it's going to be electric. There's some distinct advantages. One, it allows for a more streamlined shape, the airplane. And one of the major factors in deterioration of aircraft is metal fatigue. A lot of it caused by engine vibration. Well, with an electric motor, you have no vibration. So it's going to increase the longevity of the aircraft. All right, how about charging your EV? 3 levels of charging. Level 1. Basically, you just plug this device into any home outlet. It's about the size of a small shoebox and has a plug that fits into your car at the other end. Quite slow, can take 8, 15, 20 hours to charge your car. Most folks that have an electric car have a level 2 charger. And here you can charge your car in 3 to 8 hours, depending on how badly it's discharged. And the granddaddy of them all, the level 3, which is a DC charger, 20 minutes to an hour to charge your car. This requires a big electrical infrastructure, so you'll never see these in a home. This is primarily what you see in the home. Okay, so stand by. Wrong slide. Here we are. This is a level 2 charger. The standard plug is a J1772, and it fits virtually every EV except Tesla. Now, if you own a Tesla, it will come with an adapter that you can plug this 1772 in, and then the other end will plug into your Tesla. Most of these chargers are Wi-Fi enabled, and so you can operate them remotely. You can schedule them to charge the car late at night or early in the morning, whenever you want. You can have a reminder to plug in, etc. This is your level 3 charger. It's a pretty big device. Currently, most of them in the province are owned and operated by BC Hydro. But BC Hydro has currently put out an incentive to get businesses to install level 3 chargers. So we'll be seeing more and more of these. And this is what the plug looks like. You've got these 2 giant contacts here because you're moving a lot of current into your car with a level 3. How do you find a charger? So there are several applications that you can put on a smartphone or your computer. And most navigation systems in EVs also have this information. This shows the location of chargers in the Salt Spring area. The blue dot is where the car is. If I click on one of these chargers, it will show me a picture of the location. It'll give me the address. It'll tell me what kind of charger it is, what connections are available. And if I want, I can click on this icon here and it will bring up a map and provide me with directions to the charger. The infrastructure is really getting built out. The amber dots are DC fast chargers, level 3 chargers. So you can see that there are lots of them coming in. And this map takes us out to about Abbotsford, Chilliwack area. So we're very well served. And if I pull this up in a week, there'll be quite a few more chargers on here. The number is increasing quite rapidly. This takes us Vancouver Island all the way out into central Alberta. So you can see that you have a series or chain of DC fast chargers that could take you, say, all the way to Calgary or Edmonton. So it really is not a problem. What about range? Everybody says, oh my gosh, what about range? What if you run out of battery power? Well, in the early days, range was an issue. And a new term came into the English lexicon. That term was range anxiety. Early EVs did have a very limited range, but battery density has increased significantly. So not so much a factor as in the early days. Also, the fast charging infrastructure is getting built out very rapidly. Thinking about range becomes second nature, and you can easily plan your trips taking this into account. This little graph shows EVs that have range capacity approaching 400 or in excess of 400 kilometers, which is what most ICE cars provide you with. So range is not an issue anymore. How about incentives? Well, the province of BC, under their Clean Energy Vehicles for British Columbia, will give you some money if you want to buy a new EV. They give you $3,000. If you want to buy a new plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, $1,500. And if you're buying a used battery electric vehicle, $1,500. Now, this program is administered by the dealer network. So it's not something you can access in the case of a private sale. Scrap It BC, incentive to get rid of ICE cars and old cars. So for 2021, they have 1,750 new incentives for BEVs and 250 for used. And that incentive is $6,000 for a new car and $3,000 for a used car. Once this money is gone, the 1,750 incentives, that'll be the end of the program for 2021. BC Hydro will provide you with a grant of $350 for the purchase and installation of a level 2 charger. A little more help here. And our friends the feds, the government of Canada, will give you $5,000 for an electric car that costs less than $45,000 and $2,500 for a plug-in electric hybrid electric vehicle. Now, $45,000 will not cover the cost of a lot of these cars. So what they've done is they've said, okay, $45,000 base price, add on the extras up to $55,000, and we'll still give you the grant. So in review, they're good for the planet, electric vehicles. They save you money. They are fun to drive. And you know what? They've been around a long time. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. Looking forward to meeting you in your new EV.